Tune in this month on the Cutter Historical YouTube channel as September will be a September to remember, as many sports will be broadcast. Baseball, we have the OTP Legends League Season 4 alongside PC Replay Baseball at times. It's the pennant stretch. Above the Rim College Hoops, the 64 best teams through the 16 tournaments that I pre-done will be set up, and a tournament winner must be held. Second and 10 PC football, as college football on Saturday and NFL on Sunday. 128 team single elimination battles will commence. Stone Cold Hockey, we will talk about the 1981-82 season set and a playthrough there. Cutter top 10 sports videos on major sports, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, and a few others. ASG Golf goes Canadian as all four tours head to Glen Abbey in Oakville for weekend battles. NHL 94 Emler mods, as ROMs will be set up of different national teams and different NHL formats. Of course, chat about boxing. We'll have a grand tournament of winners from Legends of Boxing and much, much more. It's the Cutter Historical YouTube channel for September. Don't miss it. And now back to your feature presentation. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Cutter Top 10 sports video. And today we're going to the WWE. For this one, I don't have a WWE shirt and all that. I'm supposed to get one soon, I think. But nevertheless, we're just going to go with a nice black shirt, and we're going to be talking about the 10 most hated WWE wrestlers of all time. There is a honorable mention, and that's Vicky Guerrero, who basically was Edge's storyline girlfriend, and she was power hungry as SmackDown general manager. She was kind of conniving and all that. She was vetted as a good guy, but then by 2006, she started turning evil and all that. Her shrill, "Excuse me! I said excuse me!" Everyone just shrieked in terror when she did that. I mean, Becky Guerrero is now taking her talents in AEW, which is like, fuck that. Nevertheless, Vicky Guerrero was always hated and all that. And people laughed at her. Anyway, let's go with number 10, and it's a twofer. It's actually the wrestlers who were hated because of their heritage. And two big examples were Muhammad Hassan and Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal was given the WWE belt in 2017, mostly due to the fact that WWE was trying to get into India, and they basically sold out for the almighty dollar. I would talk about the Indian currency, but that's not the right idea. Nevertheless, Jinder Mahal won the title, beating Randy Orton, which is like shocking because Randy Orton was a pretty good wrestler. And then Jinder, for over 100 days, defended the belt. It wasn't like a 30-day transitional period. He had it for more than 100 days. And then Hassan, in 2005, was debuted as a Muslim American who felt discriminated. Of course, the real life Muhammad Hassan was Italian. But anyway, it was to highlight bigotry. It actually provoked outrage, especially after Hassan's attack on The Undertaker in 2005, which ironically was around the time the London bombings happened. And basically, WWE had to get rid of Hassan's character quickly because of the whole thing and all that. Number 9 is, he may be beloved now, but he was really hated one time. It was CM Punk. CM Punk was popular with a segment of fans, and before his return in 2023, he did antagonize as many people as he enthralled. He was decent in the first few years when he was with ECW, ECW WWE, or whatever you want to call it. So he was okay. 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, and people liked him. But then when he became part of the straight edge society and all that, and basically was shunning people and all that, he antagonized a lot of people. In 2011, his pipe bomb promo blurred the line between script and reality, calling out management and fellow wrestlers alike. Like, I understand CM Punk being a little bit angry and all that. I'm actually shocked. It had to be partially scripted because If it wasn't scripted, then WWE would have cut off his mic faster, or then you could say Superman. But yeah, it actually enthralled him, and then he went on a 400 plus day title reign. Punk had an outspoken personality, refused to play ball, and then when he left WWE after Royal Rumble 2014, it was a cloud of controversy. Allegedly, he went at ice cream bars, and allegedly, he was not happy with what WWE was doing to him and his then girlfriend AJ Lee at the time. And CM Punk just took his ball and went home. I mean, what would have been his WrestleMania plans for 2014? We would love to see CM Punk and all that. I think the fans liked him. But, leaving WWE left a sour taste. But the fans actually, the diehards, would chant CM Punk at shows and all that before he finally came back. Number 8 is the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. The Nature Boy was one of the greatest of all time, but he's also one of the most hated. Known for his dirtiest player in the game tactics for NWA, WCW, WWE, and a few other promotions. He lied, cheated, and stole. He was like Eddie Guerrero. Eddie does not make this list because Eddie was beloved and all that, even though that he made that heel turn in 2005. He actually turned good guy before his death. Nevertheless, Flair would do the lying, cheating, stealing philosophy for decades. He had arrogance, a flashy lifestyle, which was not just in the ring, it was outside the ring, and smug promos generated envy and loathing in equal measure. One such promo in 1992 after winning the WWE Championship in the Royal Rumble is with a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of all time. Before being followed by his lackeys, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mr. Perfect, who added, "We're not the type of guys that say we told you so, but we told you so." Nevertheless, Flair's personality rubbed fans and wrestlers the wrong way outside the ring. So many divorces and all that. The dude wanted to wrestle at 76 years old. Are you crazy? He was very reviled. He did have a few good guy runs in the WWE, especially when he retired in 2008, and the fans loved him. Nevertheless, number 7 is Sergeant Slaughter. It is in Iraqi sympathizer era. Sergeant Slaughter was a pretty good wrestler in the early 80s for WWE and would fight the Iron Sheik and Killer Khan and all that. But then Slaughter disagreed with WWE's vision and went to the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, Frank Gagne's thing, and was a star there with the G.I. Joe's thing. And then Sarge was brought back to WWE, mostly because the AWA was crumbling. And then for some strange reason, Sergeant Slaughter decided to become heel in 1990 and would actually side with Iraq during the Gulf War storyline in late November 1990. And it was shocking that he turned his back on America. It was a massive betrayal. And the backlash was so intense that in real life, Slaughter was getting death threats by the thousands and all that. So he did win the WWE Championship in 1991 from Ultimate Warrior, but it wasn't without controversy, as Macho Man, who was in a feud with Ultimate Warrior, actually smashed Warrior's head and gave Sergeant Slaughter the win. Thankfully, good old America, Hulk Hogan, as reviled as he is, and basically it's hate the player, not the game, because the real Terry Bollea was terrible, but Hulk Hogan was a good guy. Anyway, Sarge lost the belt to Hulk Hogan, and then after a year turned good guy, and everyone accepted him. It was just shocking what Sergeant Slaughter would do. And of course, one massive misconception is, Sergeant Slaughter's death threats was the reason why WrestleMania 7, which was advertised for the LA Memorial Coliseum, even in packages during WrestleMania 6 in Toronto, that it was going to be at the big 100,000 seat LA Memorial Coliseum, which is still alive to this day. However, people thought that because of the death threats, they had to move people out because they were worried about tax. But no, it was because of poor ticket sales. And, the Iraqi war was kind they had to move to the LA Memorial Coliseum for that. Number 6 is JBL, who was just this ordinary tag team guy with Farouk and the APA. And they were good. People liked JBL and Farouk, but for some reason JBL made himself to be a singles wrestler, cut ties with Farouk, and basically be a bad guy. In 2004, he broke Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship hold by winning a Texas Bull Rope match. Of course, that was the match, pay-per-view match after the last one, which saw Eddie Guerrero bleed like a stuck pig. Never mind. Yeah, he had a masterful transformation from tag team wrestler to arrogant bullying tycoon. He was WWE champion for 280 days. At that time, it was the longest SmackDown reign in history. Before good old John Cena in his first ever WWE title win beat the arrogant JBL. Like JBL faced The Undertaker at SummerSlam 2004 in Toronto and won by disqualification. He insulted fans, he cheated to win, had a stable of henchmen to keep the title, and allegedly did a goose step in Germany, which we all know is a no-no. JBL's promos targeted everything from class differences to race, pushing the envelope, and then allegedly stopping Mexicans from crossing the border. Donald Trump was probably peeing his pants in excitement. But anyway, he was very despised and all that. And accusations of bullying backstage only added to his heat. JBL became a reasonable commentator and all that for a few years before going back to wrestling, losing the IC belt to Rey Mysterio in 21 seconds, and then leaving. JBL's been back in the WWE on several occasions, but he's been okay. Number 5 is Roman Reigns, pre-tribal chief. Now you'd be like, how can you hate Roman Reigns? Well, the fans were fantastically fickle. This was the Triple H era, you know, which they valued Roman Reigns over Daniel Bryan, in a sense. The audience refused to accept him because Roman Reigns was initially pushed as the top good guy. I mean, Cena was still there, but like, anyway. Fans rejected what was an attempt to replace John Cena as the good guy, returning with wild boos and negative responses. He was booed mercilessly for like 3 to 5 years, if I can think of that. In 2015, he won the Royal Rumble, although thanks to The Rock's help, and the fans booed the shit out of him. And Roman basically was booed at WrestleMania. They wanted Triple H more than Roman Reigns. And Triple H was a genuine asshole at that time. Fortunately, when he became the tribal chief with Paul Heyman at his side at the time, he won back the crowd's respect and people enjoyed him. And he had that 400 plus day winning streak until Cody Rhodes beat him for the title. Number 4 is Edge, known as the ultimate opportunist because of all his world championship wins, mostly because of opportunity. Because he beat John Cena for the WWE title after cashing in Money in the Bank, which entitled him to have a title match anytime, anywhere. He had a few world heavyweight reigns by taking advantage of Undertaker's weakened state and put himself in the matches. But anyway, he betrayed partners such as Christian. He stole championship opportunities and broke hearts because there was a love triangle which actually was in real life. It wasn't a scripted love triangle. It was in real life because Edge had seen Lita behind Matt Hardy's back when Matt Hardy was injured. That was a massive storyline in 2005, although Edge would come out on top in a sense. His rated R superstar persona was all about doing whatever it took to win, often at the expense of rules, friends, and his reputation. In fact, the rated R superstar persona kind of started at SummerSlam 2004 in Toronto, when Edge, even though he was a good guy, was booed heavily by the fans. And Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler basically said that we're in Bizarro world here. Because it seemed that in 2004 SummerSlam, the fans would boo people who shouldn't be booed and cheered for the bad guys, in fact, when Triple H faced Eugene in a match, Eugene was supposed to be the ultimate good guy because, he had special needs and he was a wrestler. Of course, we all know Nick Dinsmore is not that way. Edge thrived off the crowd's hatred, making him most memorable villains in history. Although Edge did come back in 2020 and was a good guy for a few years. Speaking of Triple H, guess who's number 3? A lot of people will be thinking, why is Triple H not number one? You'll find out. Never mind. Triple H. Now, twice over, he was hated. His first reign of hate was when he seemingly used his backstage politics to get what he wanted. Because in 1999, he was with Stephanie McMahon in storyline and allegedly married her by drugging her. And then, Triple H and Steph were a power couple and all that. And H used his clout to win titles and to keep titles and all that. He was a founding member of DX and the leader of Evolution. He was, of course, trying to keep himself in the title picture, and his real life marriage to Steph only intensified fan resentment and helped him get his top spot. He had arrogant promos, underhanded tactics, and sledgehammer attacks. Triple H was really a bad guy, and nobody liked him for it. Although there were good guy faces, especially with DX, because in the 90s, DX was hated, but in the 2000s, they loved him for what he did to the number one villain on this list. And the second era of hatred was in 2013 through 2016 as well, in the authority phase, with him and Steph trying to degrade Daniel Bryan's abilities and basically not listen to the fans. The fans hijacked Raw and forced Triple H to put Daniel Bryan in the WrestleMania 30 title picture. And of course, Triple H said, if you beat me, told Daniel Bryan, if you beat me, you can get into the main event, which Daniel Bryan did. And of course, they tried to beat the shit out of him, but Daniel came back and forced Randy Orton to submit. And, the miracle came, the miracle came, the miracle came. Actually, no, it's the Miracle Kid. Well, it could be both. Triple H was basically, his persona was basically hated. Number two is the Iron Sheik, the embodiment of anti-American sentiment at the time of real-world political tension. He had Iranian heritage, and the Iron Sheik, well, the guy who was the Iron Sheik actually came over in 1968 to help the Americans in Olympic wrestling. He taunted American audiences and drew a lot of heat, especially when he said, Iran number one, America to Iron Sheik was a decent heel. He was a heel that everyone just loved to hate, all that. He actually beat Bob Backlund for the WWE belt in 1983 at Madison Square Garden, shocking the world. And then in 1984, that he was put over as Hulk Hogan beat him for the title and started Hulkamania. Iron Sheik was not too happy. Iron Sheik did win the WWE tag belts in 1985 at WrestleMania 1 with Nikolai Volkov. Iron Sheik was hated and all that. But fans grew to love him. It's actually in 2005 when the Iron Sheik was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He made his rambling speech, but everyone laughed at it and all that. In a good way. The Iron Sheik would be known for his Twitter, which apparently is just, he hires two guys to do these tweets, and that they're not Iron Sheik's views and all that. Iron Sheik would make some comments about Hulk Hogan, well, the blonde-haired jabroni, and did a lot of things. Iron Sheik was famously in an episode of Kenny vs. Benny for CBC, and that, he threatened to shove a beer bottle up someone's behind. Yikes. And number one, well, what did you expect? It's going to be Vince McMahon. He an evil genius. Vince McMahon blurred the lines between reality and fiction. It was the ruthless billionaire boss who would do anything to maintain power. He would feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was pretty good. It was the ultimate heel. Conniving, manipulative, and infuriating. Fans would boo him, and his character was so effective he was very iconic in wrestling. And of course, he had real life resentment because of how he felt. But Vince McMahon actually was a decent person before he became Mr. McMahon, his character. Vince was an announcer for WWE, even though he owned the company. He was the main play-by-play guy with Jesse the Body Ventura, who should be on this list too. But Jesse the Body Ventura is mostly for his commentary and all that, and that doesn't really count. So Vince did a lot of things different. And, he was the owner, but he was still the play-by-play guy, which was cool. Bret Hart did blur the lines in 1997 by calling Vince out as owning the company. And then, of course, Vince turned the Montreal Screwjob into Mr. McMahon character and basically said, Brett screwed Brett. He would fight Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's when things intensified between the two of them, and it was a great rivalry. Stone Cold, the anti hero against the bitch, as in Vince McMahon. Vince was terrible and all that. There were some good moments with him, but it was always evil. He would do everything in his power to ruin Stone Cold, and then Linda McMahon a couple times would overrule Vince, and he would be upset. He would fight Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 17 in 2001, which was great. Vince getting the shit beaten out of him, especially by Linda. And then all of a sudden, he comes back at the end of the night to help Stone Cold beat The Rock and make Stone Cold a villain, which didn't work out that way. It didn't work. The fans didn't like it. He would be known for his bullying of Jim Ross, especially Jim Ross, by firing him after Jim Ross had a Bell's palsy attack. And then a few other times when Jim Ross had to go through surgery, Vince would fire him and basically did that skit with Jay Hart's head up someone's ass. Like, it was just unfair. I just wish Jim Ross one time would have beaten the shit out of Vince McMahon and everything would have worked out. Anyway, Vince was terrible and all that. And of course, his stuff nowadays is just terrible and all that. Vince needs to retire from wrestling. I mean, he sold his shares to TKO, and Vince should be out of the wrestling business, but he wants to start his own promotion. Oh, great. Wonder how AEW is going to feel about it, much less WWE. But yeah, Vince McMahon is very hated and all that for his callousness and all that. I would have loved to see John Cena beat the shit out of Vince McMahon. I think he did once, but that's just once. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.